Okay, real talk. Do you guys know what the hardest part of YouTube is? It's actually coming up with a new greeting for you like every single time. Like I've been sitting here for like 30 minutes agonizing over how to just say hey, because like I don't want to be that typical girl who's like, ooh, hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Like that's just boring, but also I've just filmed 5 videos and coming up with 5 different greetings is like impossible. So I guess what I'm just trying to say is, hey, thanks for tuning in to my video, and yeah, let's just skip this part and jump right in. So study bite number 9 is for all of you auditory learners out there. So for everyone who likes to learn through conversation or through listening to something, this episode is for you. Today's technique is called the phone a friend, and it's a bit of a combination of our exploit the experts technique in our life hacks video, and also our storytelling technique from last week's episode. Now, as I may have mentioned to you guys before, I'm not a big fan of reading, but the research also tells us that reading over notes is one of the most ineffective ways to study. Listening to notes, however, tends to be a bit of a different story. So today what we're going to be doing is actually phoning our friends, asking them to record their voice in saying a particular chunk of information, and then learning to associate their voice with that information chunk so it sticks in our memory. So step 1 here is pretty obvious. You need to phone some friends. If you don't have any friends, hopefully you have some family around to help you out, and it's really good to have a really kind of diverse group of voices. So some high voices, some low voices, mixture of male or female. That way it's going to make it easier to associate those different voices with different information chunks. So for step 2, you're going to need to ensure that your information is set out into logical chunks. So for our example of the human nervous system, I'm going to have one person read about the central nervous system, one person read about the peripheral nervous system, and so on and so on. It's also a good idea to annotate your notes a bit for the person who's reading them. So for example, you might put a little star next to each of your definitions, just so that that person knows to read them twice instead of once, or putting a big line under each paragraph so that they remember to pause. My other tip would be to include some questions and answers in your notes. That way you're not just sitting there and passively listening, but you're actively engaging in the content that the reader is reading to you. So having a question about where the central nervous system is, bit of a pause, and then the reader can read out the answer. In terms of actually sourcing the notes, again, I probably recommend that dyslexics source the notes from the top note taker in the class, because then you end up with better quality notes, but also the reader is probably more likely to be able to read the notes that are given to them. The only other thing is that if you've come up with your own mnemonics and you've got somebody else's notes, make sure that your mnemonics are in there so that the reader can read them out to you as well. The last step here is to read and repeat. So record your reader saying the notes aloud and then take them with you wherever you go. If you have a train journey, or if you're doing housework, or you want to go for a walk, listen to those notes along the way, and then you're going to have really strong, solid associations. At the end of this video is the example of my notes being read aloud by my lovely readers. But until then, please like, subscribe, leave us a comment, and we'll see you for the final study bite next week.
The central nervous system. The central nervous system is made up of the brain and spinal cord. It sends and receives information from the peripheral nervous system. The brain plays a critical role in interpreting and processing incoming information and prioritizing which messages need to be relayed to the body. Question: what are the 2 main parts of the nervous system? Answer: the brain and spinal cord.
The peripheral nervous system connects the central nervous system to the muscles, skin, and organs of the body. The peripheral nervous system connects the central nervous system to the muscles, skin, and organs of the body. It primarily detects sensory information from the external environment and sends it to the central nervous system to be processed. Question: what sort of information might the peripheral nervous system detect? Answer: sensory information. Examples include taste, touch, sight, smell, hearing, and pain.
Branching off the peripheral nervous system is the autonomic and somatic nervous systems. The autonomic nervous system controls involuntary bodily functions such as heart rate. The somatic nervous system controls voluntary skeletal muscle movement. Mnemonic. Think about a man walking and puffing while going up the stairs of some attic. Question. What kind of functions does the autonomic system control? Answer. Involuntary.
Are you ready?
Mm-hmm.
3, 2, 1. I knew this would happen. 1. Go. Oh my god, Mum!
Branching off the peripheral nervous system is the...
Get through the first sentence!
Alright. The somatic nervous system controls voluntary skeletal muscle movement.